I'd like to call to order the Canton Township Regular Board Meeting on April 22nd, 2025 at 6:30 PM. Can we please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you. So just to let you know, well, let's do roll call. Clerk Seegers, please take roll call.
Trustee Ansari.
Here. Good evening.
Trustee Ganguly.
Good evening.
Trustee Borninski.
Good evening.
Treasurer Slavens.
Good evening.
Let the record reflect that Clerk Segrist is in attendance and Supervisor Graham Hudek.
Good evening.
And that Trustee Foster is traveling abroad.
Great. Can I please have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. So tonight, we have some special guests, but we are going to, not all of our special guests are here yet, Joe. So Joe and team, so we're going to do a few things before they all get here, okay? We're waiting for our police and fire team, okay? So you guys get to watch a little bit of a board meeting. Lots of excitement. So we're going to start with water and sewer rate presentation. And that is going to be by, okay, Mr. Norwood.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Before I get too far into this, I want to make sure that everyone understands this is a team effort to put this together, especially the finance team who help do the rates, grind through the spreadsheets. Certainly Sarah Clay, who's here, puts all the pieces together and comes up with these rates that we're going to look at tonight. Also, John Selmy is here, who is the manager of Public Works, is also key on the operations side of this. So I want to thank both the finance team and Sarah for putting this together. So here's our system as we know it. It's extensive, 471 water main miles, lots of hydrants, lots of valves, and a sewer system. Not quite as extensive, but it's still, there's a lot of equipment that's out there, part of our infrastructure to keep the water system and the sewer system functioning, to keep people safe. For next year, this is the list of projects that we're looking to do. I think some of these things you have seen already as far as water main replacement, different parts of the city. We're also looking at lining some sanitary sewer lines at just various locations. And then a computer system, SCADA system that connects the sewer pump station and the water booster station, and our PRVs are pressure-reducing valves throughout the system to keep that system functioning correctly, providing the right pressure and water throughout the 36 square miles that is Canton Township. Here's a consumption chart. Some of this might be a little thin. You can see the years relatively flat over the years. There was a peak in 2012, but this is what we're looking at looking back, and this also helps set our rates going forward. And here's a breakdown of the expenses for water and sewer. You see water purchases are the largest expenses. We water a lot of lawns here. That's most of that what it comes from in the summertime. So. Here's how it breaks down between water and sewer. It comes out of the same area. See that water's significantly more than our sewer expenses. Now I think Wendy might jump in here, Director Trumbull, talk about the process of actually getting to the numbers. Thank you.
Sure. So if you go back to the previous slide real quickly, you can see that the overall expenses for the water and sewer fund for 2025 is about $34 million. So that's really what we start with when we're looking at calculating what the water rates are. So we start with the budget, and then we take out things such as depreciation. You can go on to the next slide. Such as depreciation that we know we don't have to actually pay cash for. If there are other items that aren't in the expense, like debt service payments, that we do have to pay cash for, we add that back to that budget number. So we're really trying to come up with how much cash do we need to pay our bills at the end of the day? So we end up with about $34 million to start with of how much cash the cash we were to need to pay our bills. However, we did have some available cash over what our targeted cash balances are. So we're going to use about $3 million of our available cash reserves to help offset any rate increase to the residents. So instead of needing $34 million of cash, we're going to need closer to $31 million of cash. From there, it's basically a mathematic equation. We say, all right, we need to collect about $31 million of cash. We're projecting that we're going to sell about 2.5 billion gallons of water over the next year. And here's where our rate comes out to be. So it's really just a simple mathematic equation, what comes down to it. And then again, we actually base that consumption on what the 10-year historical average has been. And again, that's about 2.5 billion gallons. So based on that, the proposed rate increases is going to end up being for 2025, effective May 1st, would be about a 5% increase, 5.6% increase. And this slide, and it's a little with my getting older eyes. So if you look at a low user, which is about a 2,000 gallon on a bi-monthly basis, that'd be an increase of about $3 every 2 months. For an average user that would use about 8,000 gallons every 2 months, it'd be about a $7 increase every 2 months. And then for a high user, which would use about 18,000 gallons in a month, every 2 months would be about a $13 per 2 month increase. So it's a pretty, when you hear a 5% increase, it sounds pretty significant. From a dollar standpoint, it's not quite as significant. We've been able to really stabilize our water rate increases. We do work with MSD as we're calculating these rates to look at what capital we need over the next few years to try to not to have any large swings. So if we think we need to hold on to cash for one extra year because we're going to have a large cash outflow in a couple of years, we might hold on to a little bit of cash just so we don't have very large swings in our water and sewer rates that we're passing along to the users. But overall, I believe the GLWA increase this year was close to 6% at the end of the day. Their contract that they had promised to only keep it at a maximum of 4% increases was was it a 10-year? It was a 10-year promise, and this is year 11. So it did exceed that 4%. So we're up about 6%. So we're able to keep our rates under what the rate passed along from GLWA is. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah,
if there are
any questions for us? Yeah.
So we've been able to basically be a part of water decreases for a couple of years because of our water tower. But like you said, GLWA has raised it extensively.
We over the years, and I don't have the figures in front of me. We've kept our water rate increases very low. We've held it flat for a number of years in a row, and then I feel like we went up maybe 2 or 3% a couple of years. But the 12 to 13 years that I've been here, I mean, we've held it flat probably half of those years. So we've been very fortunate, and a lot of that was due to the water and sewer rate, the water storage facility that was put in back in 2016, which really saved the township a significant amount of money at the end of the day.
So GLWA had sent us along, everybody, all the communities along notice as to why they were increasing the rates. You want to just summarize that?
I will pass that over to you.
Sure. So part of that was part of their infrastructure needs that they had to invest in, that the whole system has to deal with. So that was one of the things. Also, the cost of producing water is going up.
And they basically is all of for southeastern Michigan.
Right, their entire system, yeah.
A lot of communities are going through what we are right now.
That is correct, yes.
I remember I was at SEMCOG, Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, a couple of years ago. This is 7 years ago. And there was a presentation, and I was in the room with probably 200 different municipal service directors, managers, and they polled everybody in the audience. You know, what is your biggest infrastructure concerns, and it was, roads, water, there was all the infrastructure you think of that you could vote on. And when they did the same survey to the average Michigan resident, and roads obviously came in number one. That's the number one infrastructure concern of the average Michigan resident. And then the average, the number one concern of every municipal services manager or director was water. It was what's under the ground, the stuff you don't see. And, when I saw that water main damage in Southwest Detroit and the flooding that went associated with that, that's what you get when you have years of deferred infrastructure improvements to a system like this. You get a system that has breaks and cracks and spillage, and that also increases our rates as well. So, when I see GLWA come in with a large water rate increase, my first thought is, oh boy, this is going to cost me more money as a Canton resident. My next thought is, what do all those municipal services managers know that I don't know? Which is that if you don't make these improvements, you're going to pay for it in other ways as well. And then obviously, that was a horrible example because it just, absolutely ruined people's homes, right? Just ruined people's lives. But yeah, so I understand why GLWA is making the needed investments in water infrastructure that they are, and I know why we do here when I look at our graphs.
Yes. It's the invisible that people don't see. They know that in their homes, they turn their water on and it comes on, and they don't realize all the care that it takes. But I know our DPW teams, how many water main breaks do we have just this year? I think 3 in the winter. We had 35 all winter? What was that time frame that we had about the 35? Very good, and our teams get right on that. So I don't know if everybody remembers last year, Warren and Sheldon, when that one went, it went so far that it blew the gas line also. So we couldn't get in there right away to fix the water line because of the gas going, and a lot of the soil underneath the road went away for a while too. So yeah, it's a big deal when the water mains break. So these water and sewer rates pay for not only the waters to the home, but the fixes. And any other questions or comments by anyone? Kate?
Yeah, just a comment. I'm sure most of us up here, or if not all, are not super happy about having to raise rates, but I am glad that we are able to keep our rate increase percentage lower than what GLW is charging us. And I'm also very glad that we have that $3 million that we're investing to help keep the rate lower than it would have been. So.
I'll just make a quick comment. I appreciate Wendy and DPW for all the hard work, because I know it's a lot of work to figure out the rates. And we are good about maintaining our water and sewer. So I appreciate you guys very much. And I agree, we have kept the water rates flat. So, we had to bump them up a little bit. So thanks for all your hard work. And Sarah, too, because I know you're behind it.
And of
Yeah,
course,
I
the
get to
tower
take
help.
credit for it, but Sarah does all of the work. Sarah and Deb in our department.
Tanya?
Yeah, I wanted to agree with Kate and that, you guys do a great job of finding the money and trying to make the situation as less of a hassle for our residents and keeping the rates as low as we can. And yes, I agree with Michael that we have to keep our water infrastructure running because, we have the privilege of being surrounded by lakes and we don't have droughts in our area. And so it's a huge privilege. I just heard on the radio that some some areas in California are trying to recycle toilet water for drinking water, and we don't have to do that here, and we have that privilege. But at the same time, we have to keep our infrastructure going so that, and that's probably one of the largest budget items we always have every year, the water and sewer costs. And so thank you for doing that.
Thank you, and I think that's under our general calendar to vote on that.
Correct. So the first agenda item on the general calendar will be to approve the water and sewer rates. It would go into effect on for the May water bills. If you recall, a couple of years ago, we changed it from being part of the ordinances to being adopted by resolution instead of by the ordinance. So we won't have two readings of it after the board votes tonight on this item. It will go into effect in May.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So Chief Chad, our team's still coming in? They're coming in a little at a time.
You're going to see probably a couple more police officers and 3 or 4 firefighters.
3 or 4 firefighters, okay. Okay, we're almost there. So then why don't we start with, why don't we read some of our resolutions then? So resolutions is the next part, and we're going to have Amara Ansari read the Arab American Heritage Month resolution.
Whereas for over a century, Arab Americans have been making valuable contributions to virtually every aspect of American society in medicine, law, business, education, technology, government, military service, art, culture, and whereas since migrating to America, people of Arab descent have shared their rich culture and traditions with neighbors and friends, while also setting fine examples of model citizens and public servants. And whereas they brought with them to America their resilient family values, strong work ethic, dedication to education, commitment to public service, and diversity in faith and creed that have added strength to our great democracy. And whereas Arab Americans have also enriched our society by sharing in the entrepreneurial American spirit that makes our nation free and prosperous. And whereas the celebration of Arab American ancestry and cultural heritage educates our fellow Americans and counters misconceptions, harmful stereotyping, and shared misconceptions by other ethnic groups. And whereas Arab Americans have put their bodies on the line and acted as leaders within critical movements in this country's history, including but not limited to the labor rights movement and the civil rights movement. And whereas they join all Americans in the desire for a peaceful and diverse society where every individual is treated equally and feels safe. And whereas the incredible contributions and heritage of Arab Americans have helped us build a better nation. And now, therefore, we announce that the Arab America Foundation celebrates the contributions Arab Americans have made to society and does hereby declare April 2025 to be National Arab American Heritage Month by Canton Township within the state of Michigan. We encourage our citizens to join us in this special observance.
Support.
Thank you. This is read by, motion made by Amara Ansari and supported by Trustee Borninski, but we do have one, but we already have one that we do this every year, so this is in perpetuity. Thank you. Thank you. So we're still waiting for a few people. What about doing do you want to reread the Earth Day one, Michael? Just reread it.
Reaffirming April 22nd as Earth Day in Canton Township for all future generations and encouraging residents, businesses, and institutions to celebrate our environment and promote the well-being of the Earth. And this passed in April of 2023. Whereas the Earth and its ecosystems are our home, and in order to achieve a just balance among the economic, social, and environmental needs of present and future generations, it is necessary to promote harmony with nature and the Earth. Whereas everyone in Canton has a right to a healthy environment, and pollution has been associated with several health issues affecting the Earth's population. Whereas plastic Waste can be found everywhere, land or sea, even in the most remote places on the planet, affecting both humans and animals, and approximately only 10% of plastic waste is recycled, whereas humankind is currently facing tremendous global challenges, among them the need to manage waste as landfills become full and the population increases, whereas human-generated greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuel combustion, exacerbated by unsustainable land use, are a leading cause of climate change, whereas it is essential to involve the community in the design and implementation of solutions for pressing environmental issues, and whereas Earth Day is an annual reminder of the constant need for environmental activism, stewardship, commitments, and sustainability efforts, now therefore be it resolved. The Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Canton does hereby proclaim April 22nd Earth Day throughout Canton Township and encourage all residents, businesses, and institutions to use Earth Day to celebrate our environment and promote the well-being of the earth in the state of Michigan and Township of Canton.
Thank you. And today, the board planted a red maple tree over by the pavilion. They planted it to mark the 55th anniversary of Earth Day. And the Earth Day theme is Our Power, Our Planet, this year's Earth Day theme. And if there was a time for trees, it's now. So it's very cool if you guys want to go out and see it, our new pavilions that just were restored after the tornado with the new maple tree. All right, so we're still, okay. Let's go on to just, are there any board and commission reports? So the Technology Committee is basically going to have an app-a-thon. So if anybody's interested in helping out some nonprofits and writing an app for them to do their accounting or their volunteer list or things like that, please let us know. We have a form you could fill out and join us to do that. Any other commission reports? Michael?
I believe the Roads Task Force met yesterday or earlier today. I was actually on assignment. I was driving all the way up and down to 75 from Florida to Michigan to assist the Roads Task Force. No, I took my kids to Disney. So I wasn't at the meeting, but I understand it was a good meeting, laid out the projects for this year, including the intersection improvements, and we see a number of requests for board action on tonight's agenda regarding road work. We've got the Spalding Deckers, and we also, I believe, have a contract on there for Ajax, and I think we are extending, or there's a recommendation to extend the concrete work with Rotundo, but that is, I believe, sidewalks. But so we've got a lot of infrastructure on the agenda for tonight's meeting, and I'm just appreciative of the Roads Task Force and the and MSD and engineering departments for facilitating that.
It was a very good meeting. Director Norwood, do you want to say anything else about the Roads Commission meeting today?
So this was the citizens group that reviews the five-year plan, and whenever we have to add it a year at the end after every construction season. So we'll be presenting that to the board in the near future too. So that's our next step.
All right, now let's move on to, we have a few more minutes, public comment on agenda items only. On agenda items only, if you want to go up to the podium, public comment on agenda items only. Online, if you want to comment, please raise your hand electronically and I'll open your mic up. Okay, so seeing none online, anyone in the room, public comment? Okay. Next, we have the approval of minutes for April 8th, 2025.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the minutes from April 8th, 2025 as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. And now for the payment of the bills.
Madam Supervisor, I make a motion that we pay the bills.
Motion made by Treasurer Slavens, supported by Trustee Borninski. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Why don't we do the consent calendar while we're waiting for our fire crew and police crew?
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board adopt the consent calendar as presented. Item C1, request approval to renew Office 365, three-year agreement. C2, consider awarding a contract and purchase order to replace the pool motor control center. Item C3, request approval to renew annual maintenance agreement for Tyler Technologies New World Systems ERP. Item C4, consider waiving the bidding process and approving the sole source purchase of outdoor warning siren speaker heads with an associated 2025 emergency management budget adjustment. And finally, item C5, request for resolution of a local body of government to recognize Plymouth Wildcats Football Booster Club as a nonprofit in the community for a purpose of making an application for a charitable gaming license to the Michigan Gaming Control Board.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Ganguly. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Why don't we start the general? We have a few more minutes. I'm sorry, Joe. Everybody wants to be here for you, so we want to wait so they all get here. The general calendar, item G1, consider resolution to approve water and sewer rates for the 2005 fiscal year pursuant to Part 1, Chapter 74, entitled Utilities, Article 2, Division 2, Subdivision 2, entitled Schedule of Rates and Charges, Section 74.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve resolution number 2025-11, setting the water and sewer rates for the 2025 fiscal year effective May 1, 2025.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. Each year, staff prepares a comprehensive analysis of proposed rates and charges for water and sewer service based on the true cost of service. The board has adopted those recommendations and is now necessary to adopt a resolution to reflect the changes being proposed. In order to satisfy the revenue requirements for the 2025 fiscal year, the attached rate changes are recommended for adoption by the Board of Trustees that we just went over. It's important to note that the proposed increases represent approximately half the current inflation rate. Additionally, the current use of cash balance will smooth out future impacts on rates. The new rates would take effect on all customers' bills starting May 1st, 2025, and represent an average bi-monthly increase of 5.64% to the user. Any questions or comments other than what we did before? No? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Is our total crew here? Oh, they're still not here. Okay. Okay. We're going to call these guys. G2, consider award of a contract to Audia Concrete Construction for the 2025 Local Road Improvement Program.
Madam Supervisor, I move to award a contract and issue a purchase order for the 2025 Local Road Improvements Program Concrete to Audia Concrete Construction Incorporated for a total award of $930,000 and approve an extension of this contract for 2026 and 2027, subject to engineering and finance approval of contractor performance and pay item and unit price adjustments.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. In 2018, a 1.45 mil road funding millage was approved by the voters for road work, including repairs to local subdivision roads. This award is for the 2025 construction year with a possible yearly extension for the 2026 and 2027 construction years, all of which may include pay item and unit price adjustments. Engineering Services is requesting award of contract and issuance of a purchase order with Audia Concrete Construction in the amount of $844,888 for the 2025 Local Road Improvement Program. Director Norwood, do you want to add to that?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Only thing I'd like to add is this has been a very successful part of the road millage. This is where HOAs and neighborhood associations actually share the cost in the work, and this was actually booked out to 2028. So there's lots of work happening here. So it's been very successful.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. I think we have a full house now, right? Okay, great. So we have a very exciting thing to talk about today. I'm going to read. So some of the directors wrote some things about what happened that day, and it's a very special day for our employees, and I am recognizing also Mr. Kaczynski here. So I'll read before everybody stands up. During the ITI bi-weekly staff meeting on January 8, 2025, Information Technology Manager Joseph Kaczynski experienced a medical emergency. Without any prior training or rehearsal, the entire ITI staff sprang into action to help him in his time of need. A coordinated effort ensued, with staff members quickly moving Joseph to the floor to ensure he was on a flat surface. One staff member immediately began CPR, while another retrieved the AED and prepared it for use.
They applied the AED while others moved furniture to create space for the medical personnel. Staff called 911 and remained online with the dispatcher, following instructions to assist with CPR and prepare to use the AED until police and fire personnel arrived. Another staff member stepped in to relieve the original person performing CPR, ensuring a continuous level of chest compressions. All of this unfolded in just a few minutes while waiting for emergency responders to arrive. ITI worked in one accord while also praying for the safety and well-being of one of our own. The employees involved with ITI were Victor Abegbu, Devin Landers, Jessica Pietka, Bhavin Patel, Juliana Aldrich Karaszewski, Eric McDaniel, David Bannock, Clement Gloucester, Rosanna Serrati, Caitlin Pavel, and Christy Smith and Joseph Kaczynski, of course. Now I'll read the next one. This is from the public safety. On January 8th, the Canton Dispatch Center received multiple 911 calls reporting an unconscious individual who was not breathing, located in the training room on the third floor of the administration building. Dispatchers promptly coordinated the response of both police and fire units. Police officers were first on the scene and found a bystander actively performing CPR. The officers immediately took over chest compressions and continued high-quality CPR until firefighter and medics arrived. Upon arrival, fire personnel found the patient in ventricular fibrillation. The patient was defibrillated 3 times and cardioverted once. High-quality care was performed on scene before the patient's heart began to beat on its own. Crews continued advanced care on scene and during transport to the hospital where the patient began to stabilize. The rapid coordinated efforts of dispatch, police, and fire personnel, along with early CPR and high-quality care with the ITI team, directly contributed to the survival of the patient. Their actions demonstrated outstanding professionalism, commitment, and dedication to the organizations and community they serve. So could we please have the ITI team come on up with Joe and his family? Come on up to the front if you can. Give everybody. So this is the team that started. They used our AED. And now, can we please recognize the police and fire? If you could please come to the front. Let me read, I'm sorry, the police and fire. I'm going to read, I didn't read the names, I'm sorry. Battalion Chief Nicholas Lombardi, Captain Richard Crackle, Captain Michael Toms, Firefighter Medic Gregory Derby, Firefighter Medic Brian Fitzgerald, Firefighter Medic Miranda Furarst, Firefighter Medic Tyler Grauer, Firefighter Medic Jeremy Marchloff, Firefighter Medic Kelly Marino, Officer Corey Altheim, Officer Zachary Arnold, Officer Colin McCammon, PSSO Hannah Siepkowitz, Rowe, PSSO Kathleen Johnson, PSSO Alexandria Samaskism. I don't think everybody's here, though. I don't think everybody could make it. But those of you who are here, I know that I was up there and our team was up there, and it's a very emotional event. You guys we're very, very proud of you. And Joe, we are so happy you are here. What can I say? I know the day you came back, you gave everybody big hugs, and we all loved it. So thank you. So if we could all take a picture together, come on up. Board, you want to stand up? All these heroes. Does anybody want to say anything?
Oh, come on, brag a little.
They jumped into action.
I'll try to get through this without getting too emotional. For those of you, to my staff, I love each and every one of you. Thank you for what you did. To the public safety, the first responders, I can't thank you enough for what you did to save my life. I've always known that Canton Township's had great police, first responders, but to understand what I went through and what efforts that you guys took and the stories that I've heard about who came running from where and people came running from this direction and so forth, it's been quite an amazing journey and stories to hear, and words fail me for what I would like to say to each and every one of you, but thank you from the most deepest crevices of my heart for what you did for me and my family that day. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. And I also want to say, Joe's going to hug everybody, so I just want to let everybody know. that Rochelle, our HR team also jumped in after that, and while Joe was on his way to the hospital, they brought him in the back room, and all the employees had a good session and talking about what happened, and it was very touching, and you guys did a great job. You are our heroes, our employees, and of course, you are an example, because I love bragging about you to everybody, so great job.
That was the first one to break ribs. I think Chrissy was the second.
She was. Everybody had a great part. Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. So as your reward, you can all sit down and watch the rest of the board meeting with us. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Nice to see you again.
Very emotional.
All right, that was very nice. Next, we have, to continue the general calendar, item G3, renewal of a construction contract with Mark Anthony Consulting to purchase order for Spalding Deductor for construction, roadway replacement of concrete roads affected by ASR.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the increase of a purchase order to Spalding Decker in the amount of $110,000 and issue a purchase order to Mark Anthony Contracting Incorporated in the amount of $3,576,393.50, and further approve the required associated budget amendment.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. In 2018, a 1.45 mil road funding millage was approved by the voters for road work, including repairs to local subdivision roads and major roads throughout Canton. This award is for the 2025 construction year with a possible yearly extension for the 26 and 27 construction years, all of which may include pay items and unit price adjustments. Engineering Services is requesting award of contract and issuance of a purchase order with Audia Concrete Construction Incorporated in the amount of $844,888 for the 2025 Local Road Improvement Program. Director Norwood, do you want to add anything?
Oh, didn't we do this one already?
We did,
We're on the ASR item
oh, I'm sorry.
with Mark Anthony.
I'm sorry.
No, we did Audia.
We did audio.
Yes.
Yeah, we.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I will read the next one. A lot of them have the same beginnings because it's road work. G3. That's right, we did G2. So this one is,
No, we're on G3.
You're on G3. G3 is Mark Anthony Contracting.
Yep, with the Spalding.
G3 here, the system comes up something else, Tyler.
Oh, because of the changes? Did they not make changes to the agenda and meeting management portal when there were modifications?
Mark Anthony. It is? Okay, I got things down. Okay, here we go. Engineering Services are requesting a contract renewal and a purchase order to Mark Anthony Contracting for the construction and/or replacement of local concrete roads affected by ASR in the amount of $3,576,393.50, including a $465,000 contingency. Further, Engineering Services is also requesting to increase purchase order 2024-0771 by $110,000 to Spalding to Decker for the construction, administration, inspection, testing, and staking services previously approved by the board on June 11, 24, in the amount of $723,800. The award of these contracts will repair the remaining local roads in Canton impacted by ASR. This work is being funded utilizing a $5 million grant awarded by the state of Michigan, a portion of which was used to repair ASR roads during 2024. The total cost of the repair of these roads exceeds the state grant by $340,230. Wayne County has indicated they will reimburse the township for this work, and an IGA currently is in process. Should the agreement with the county not come to fruition, the roads millage will absorb the amount in excess of the state grant. Alkali silica reaction, ASR, concrete is an industry-wide, commonly seen accelerated deterioration of concrete, particularly in roads, curbs, and sidewalks. There are many roads throughout the township that are affected by ASR. Those affected include local subdivision roads under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. These roads deteriorate quickly and fail before the standard lifespan of concrete roads. The subdivisions identified have experienced a rapid deterioration and failure of the concrete driving surface and must be repaired. Director Norwood, do you want to comment on this one?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. This is the second phase, final phase of the work that we said we would do a couple years ago. That was funded by State Rep. Puri, and also now Wayne County has stepped in to help us with any shortfall we might have. So we're very excited to clean this up, get it all done. This was identified a couple years ago, and now we're completing the work. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments? Michael?
Anytime I talk about the road improvement program, I get excited. But what I love about, in particular, like this budget amendment, is seeing $3.3 million coming in of state grants, right? I love seeing our tax dollars coming back to us from Lansing. We talk a lot about politics, and there's a lot of talk about politics in general. But very rarely do we talk about the ways in which decisions and actions by elected officials improve our daily lives. And this is $3.3 million in round two of our tax dollars being brought back to us from Lansing because of good government and governance and the assistance of Representative Ranjiv Puri, really bringing our local concerns to the legislature and delivering for us. And then to see the additional potential $340,000 coming back from Wayne County for the improvement of neighborhood streets. And these are neighborhood streets where the roads are just so deplorable that there's absolutely no feasible way for them to financially fix them themselves, right? And Act 51 and the gas tax money it is woefully insufficient for the purposes of fixing ASR. And so what's really cool about this program is knowing that for all intents and purposes, almost all of the ASR in Canton Township and neighborhood streets will be gone. And then additionally, that we're doing this with money to supplement the local roads program, our local tax dollars, is also fantastic. I can remember when, this was a pipe dream, and now it's a reality. And so I'm really happy to vote for this.
Anya?
Yeah, I just wanted, we are very proud of our roads millage program where we use our, millage to improve our own roads, but investing in ASR requires a considerable amount of investment, and I'm really thankful for Rep. Puri for bringing us this money to work on the ASR. We started off with Canton Center Road, and now we are moving to other subdivisions where we have considerable amount of ASR, and so it's not just Sunflower, it's a bunch of other neighborhood subdivisions where we are investing this money in, and it could not have happened without this grant from the state.
Kate?
Yeah, I agree with what has been said, but I do want to remind the board that there are subdivisions that have private roads that still do have ASR. And many of these subdivisions don't really have a way to pay for any sort of removal of ASR or repairs, to get rid of it. So, if there's a solution someday for these subdivisions, I would be very happy.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Consider authorizing a purchase order through contract extension to Rotundo for sidewalk replacement.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve a purchase order to Rotundo Construction Incorporated in the amount of $1,992,340 and the required associated budget amendment.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Berninski. Sure. In March of 2023, Canton Township awarded Rotundo Construction Incorporated a contract for the sidewalk repair program with the option to extend through 2027. Engineering Services has had a very successful sidewalk replacement program with Rotundo and would like to issue a purchase order to them under the existing contract. The amount requested in the purchase order is $1,992,340. The 2025 sidewalk repair program includes work on residential subdivisions along the main roads, some limited sidewalk gaps, and incidental subdivision road repairs where appropriate. Director Norwood, do you want to add anything?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. This is the next step after we had the public hearing on the sidewalk replacement program. We're just lining up the contractor to ready to hit when the 60 days has passed.
I know we had a hearing, couple board meetings again, and so the subdivisions within the repair zone, just to remind everyone, are Carriage Hills, number 4, Pickwick Village, Willowbrook Village, Willow Trail, and Willow Creek, number 1, 3, and 4, bordered by Warren, Morton Taylor, Haggerty, and Ford Road. Any comments or questions? No. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G5, consider award of a contract and purchase order to Ajax Paving Industries for the rehabilitation of Geddes Road and Beck Road in the 2025 Major Road Improvement Program.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve a purchase order and award contract to Ajax Paving Industries Incorporated for the Geddes Road and Beck Road project in the amount of $3,950,000 and the required associated budget amendment.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Ganguly. In 2018, a 1.45 mill road funding millage was approved by the voters in the August primary ballot, and Canton committed to begin construction and road repairs immediately in the 2019 construction season. In the fall of 2018, Canton Township retained Northwest Consultants, now Fishbeck, as designer for the major road projects. This year marks the 7th year of millage-funded construction on major road projects. The design for the planned 2025 major road project on Geddes and Beck roads was completed in January 2025. The scope of work includes milling and HMA resurfacing of Beck Road from Michigan Avenue to just short of Cherry Hill Road, and Geddes from just east of Denton Road to the Canton Center Road. The intersection of Geddes and Beck will be gapped out during this project and completed as a separate project the following year that will include road widening and capacity improvements in the intersection. The request for proposal for this project was issued to the public on February 20th, 2025. 4 contractors submitted proposals for this work on March 13th, ranging from $432,518.19 to $4,604 $4,604,942. Ajax Paving Industries was a chosen contractor after evaluating all 4 proposals based on the responsible contracting policy. Once approved, project construction will take place during the 2025 summer construction season and, weather permitting, should be completed by September 12th, 2025. Director Norwood, do you want to add anything to this?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. I would like to add a couple of things. This is the major roads component of the local roads millage. However, we were notified 2 weeks ago that Wayne County is offering another program for township roads. Well, I'm sorry, Wayne County roads and townships. And we have applied for up to $1 million to help pay for this project. So more to come on this. So this will allow us to maybe advance some other projects that are a little further out. We will keep you informed on this.
Thank you. Comments or questions? All in favor? Kate?
Yeah, Director Norwood, can you explain, it sounds like some work will be this year and then some next year?
That is correct.
Can you explain what will be happening when?
So this will be the actual roadways that are north and south and east and west of the intersection of Beck and Geddes. That'll happen next year, the actual intersection where we're doing some widening, creating some right turn lanes. So,
Okay, so that will be next year, 2026?
that is correct, yes, 2026.
Okay, just want to make sure that we are able to inform the public.
There is a communication
as-
strategy set in place, yes, because there's going to be some detours and some things
Yeah,
we'll be letting folks know, so.
yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Any other comments or Amara?
Just a comment. You know, it's so funny, like every time we talk about road construction, we get excited that we're fixing the roads. And then when the time comes, we get really annoyed that the roads are being fixed. So, you know, let's just be patient because this is a great project. I'm really grateful for the work that's being put into this. And, you know, just asking residents to be patient. We can detour. It's going to be better for us in the long run. And thank you for leading this work.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G6, consider authorization of a PO to Spalding DeDecker for engineering services for 25 Canton Leisure Services pavement capital improvement projects.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the award of a purchase order for Spalding DeDecker in the amount of $108,900 for the 2025 Canton Leisure Services pavement capital improvement projects.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Segrist, supported by Treasurer Slavens and Trustee Ganguly. Canton Township leadership has established a 5-year capital improvement plan for maintenance and upgrade of township facilities. Part of this plan is the ongoing maintenance of township-owned parks, pavements, and pathways. Parks, pavements, and pathways. Engineering Services Division is requesting an award for planning and design services in the amount of $108,900 to Spalding DeDecker. This award is for the 2025 Canton Leisure Services capital improvement projects. Service provided by Spalding DeDecker includes evaluation and design of parking lots and paths at township-owned facilities with the intent to create construction plans for future consideration. Director Norwood, do you want to add anything?
Just that we're looking at Freedom Park, Griffin Park, Fellows Creek, the golf course, and also Pheasant Run Golf Course. That's the site of this type of work that's going to happen.
Much needed on those. Questions or comments? All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. G7, consider approval to purchase managed security services.
Madam Supervisor, I move to contract with and enter required purchase orders to Trace 3 Ad Lumen for managed security services for 3 years at a total cost of $313,967 and retain Merit Networks for 40 hours of professional services at a total cost not to exceed $11,000.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Ganguly. ITI continually ensures that the township's computer environments and data networks remain protected against cyber threats. Due to the evolving nature of cybersecurity threats, the ITI department conducted a cybersecurity assessment of township computers, networks, and data to identify and address the weaker areas of the township's infrastructure. In 2024, the township's ITI department conducted a cybersecurity assessment which revealed numerous areas requiring improvement. The ITI department then published a request for proposal for managed security systems to help mitigate some of the weaker points in the township's cybersecurity infrastructure. Contracting with an MSS vendor would help develop and centralize the township cybersecurity framework, thus improving its cybersecurity posture. Director Begbu, do you want to add anything?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. First of all, I want to thank the board for your understanding. But we are making it more difficult.
Right, yeah, we have a lot of the know before. You've been doing a lot of training. Very good. Okay, any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item G8, request approval to purchase furniture for the ITI training room.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the purchase of ITI training room furniture in an amount not to exceed $33,000 payable to American Interiors.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Berninski. The ITI training room was last updated in 2004 during the administration building renovation, which expanded its capacity from 7 to 10 training computers and added additional furniture. However, after nearly 2 decades of use, it is showing clear signs of wear. ITI is seeking approval to purchase new furniture for the ITI training room. The updates will enhance the learning experience, maximize room utilization, and enable effective collaboration, whether or not computers are in use. Director Abegbu, do you want to add anything?
No, but I will take questions if any.
Thanks. Any questions or comments? Kate?
Yeah, it says that there'll be an increased number of workstations after getting this furniture. Do you know approximately how many? Thank you. I wanted to say also that, looking at some more of the background information, I'm really kind of excited about this because it says that there'll be the ability for computers, monitors, and keyboards to be stored within the desks, so you can use it just like, like a regular desk rather than a workstation. And then also the ADA compliance part of it is very important, so I appreciate you bringing this to us.
Thank you. That concludes the general calendar. Oh, can all in favor of the motion say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. So now we move on to additional public comments. I will look online first and see if we have anyone. If you are online and you want to make a public comment, please raise your hand electronically. Seeing none. Anyone in the room with public comment for 3 minutes? Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. There is a public comment online. Okay, go ahead and read it.
Let me do it before we open it up.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a public comment from David Gordon. asking what happened to the sidewalk repair on Cherry Hill Road between Canton Center and Denton. Last year, there was a crew cutting the damaged concrete to be removed, but it wasn't removed. Now the sidewalk is in worse condition. So that is a question, but also a comment.
Okay, thank you. In the room, Mr. Miller, you want to go up first, and then we'll, okay, please go to the podium, please, and say your name, and you'll just let the board know, your thoughts, and then afterwards, we can talk to you at some of our staff if needed.
Hi, my name is Jim Aaron, and I live at 2178 Fairway Circle in Canton. And I'm here to talk about the roads at the Sunflower Subdivision. And, I read this article in the Detroit newspaper, and in this article, they claim that they spent $3.2 million on these roads. Then I was talking to someone, the representative for that district, in the State House, and he was claiming he got $5 million for them. But the bottom line is, we have so many places that have bad roads in Canton, subdivisions. I know if you live in a condo, you can't get any action because you live in a condo, even though they're the same as a home, as a subdivision. There's really no difference. But how does this place get money 2 years in a row? Is there no one, are they the only people trying to get this money from this 30% of the 5.6 million?
So right now, you're just giving comments, and then we can answer it.
Oh, you can't get any answers?
No, we're just listening to you right now.
Oh, well, see, I just wanted to know about this. We don't have a newspaper much anymore, and it's hard to, but I see this article in the Detroit News, and, these people, the way I see it is that taxpayers increased all their property values by $20,000. And according to this article, they kicked in $32,000. Doesn't seem very fair to me is all I can tell you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
George Miller. There was a water break at approximately Sheldon and Palmer Road. I've complained many times about this. I'd like to know, when you call it in, say at 2 o'clock in the morning, police come out, it's flooded. I'd like to know why it takes 8, 10, 12 hours to shut it off. Forget Miss Dig, shut it off. Somebody's paying for that water, probably the taxpayer, in some shape or form. Now, if the ditches would have been cleaned at Sheldon and Palmer Road, the road wouldn't have flooded there when the water main broke. There's about a foot of sand over the pipe over there on Sheldon Road. It's plugged, it's not cleaned out. Sometimes it works when there's not 6 foot of leaves in it. So I'd like to know what the county, you arrived at that. The guardrail on Sheldon Road finally got fixed, but 100 yards down the way, there's another 50 foot of it falling in the ditch. So I don't know whoever fixed it, the county, they didn't finish their job, as usual. Most likely it was them. I'd like to know how this Corps of Engineers is doing about the flooding. It's been a long time. We don't hear any updates on it, what their suggestions are. So one other thing, I'd like to know if it's possible to get another, maybe another electric plug-in for electric car. We only have one. Evidently, that's a municipality vehicle. I'd like an update on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Okay, sure, go ahead.
Good evening, Board. Mark Rotundo from Rotundo Construction. I just wanted to comment on one of the earlier comments regarding Cherry Hill. We did saw cut that last year. There was a shortage with the budget on the project, so that got cut out, but that's slated for this year, I believe. So that should be done this year.
Anyone else in the room? Sure. 3 minutes.
Have any of you ever gone to see the work that was done on Palmer, right at the intersection of Haggerty Road, going up the hill toward the freeway? Any of you ever gone and see the work they did? Anybody?
We can talk to you after the meeting.
It's terrible.
Thank
It was just and I see that they're putting this money and they're fixing these subdivision roads up, and here's a road that I drive on every day. And it was just an inept job, that's all.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? All right, thank you. So some administrative comments. Let's start. Emma, do you have anything? Victor? Director Begbie? No? Director Howell? Director Bao?
Just real quick, I appreciate the board recognizing not only Joe and his recovery, but our staff. You know, they put a lot of time in. That doesn't happen by mere luck. It's a lot of time, and the staff on the IT side too, saving his life. I think it's important to realize that what you saw tonight happens throughout our community. So there's a lot of folks that had their life saved by the fire and police department, and there's rooms like that everywhere. So thank you.
Definitely. You've been in the paper, both of you guys. I think we had a gentleman hanging out of his window, out of the window by his foot. That was in all the newspapers, and you guys do, yeah. And a lot of heroic things have happened every day. Thank you. Wendy? And of course, we have our heroic financial director, and she keeps us in line. She did water rates for us. Great job, Wendy. It's great. Jamie? Okay. Dave? No? Amara?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the first responders. And also, I feel very honored to have read my first resolution. It may seem small, but it's a big deal, so I feel like a big girl. And next week, on Wednesday, April 30th, from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Village Arts Factory, the Leisure Services Department is hosting an Islamic arts workshop in honor of Arab American Heritage Month. So it'll be an hour of arts and crafts. Who doesn't want to do that? So join in, and I hope that everyone has been keeping warm. April is still pretty cold, but today has been beautiful. Hopefully May will bring better weather.
Thank you. Actually, I'm sorry, John, I didn't see you. Any events happening this week? Every day of the week? Very good. Thank you. Trustee Borninski?
Well, I wanted to wish everyone a happy Earth Day, which is today, one of my favorite days.
Thank you. Treasurer Slavens?
Wanted to wish everybody happy Earth Day as well, and enjoy the weather. It's finally warming up and the trees are all budding, so hopefully we'll be able to enjoy warm weather and we won't get any more frost.
Yes, that's true. Thank you. Michael?
Happy Earth Day. I'm super excited to be at the pavilion ribbon cutting. We have made up ground from the tornado that came through and tore those pavilions down, but also removed or ripped out, I think it was over 200 trees, and municipal trees. We were able to plant one of them, so 199 more to go. No, I'm kidding. We've got a lot getting planted right now, but that was awesome to do. And then additionally, there was a second Earth Day celebration going on, and it ended 38 minutes ago. That was over at Workman Square. That was put on by the business district in Cherry Hill Village in partnership with the Partnership for the Arts and Humanities, and they were giving away saplings, and so it's really cool. Last year we had 0 Earth Day celebrations. This year we had 2. Earth Day celebrations. So it looks like we're going to have 4 next year, maybe. I don't know. It's something to shoot for. But no, it's super exciting. And so, yeah, geeked about that. And looking forward to bringing forward precinct realignment changes. I got confirmation from my final location that they are willing to host us. So we've got a voting location for folks in the northeast section of Canton Township, and that will get some of those folks closer. And they'll be voting a lot closer to their home. So very excited about that. I will talk kind of just briefly about the local roads program. So 55, we have our local roads program, which is funded with local tax dollars, and that brings in a good amount of money, a little over $5 million annually. 55% of that goes towards the major roads, 30% goes towards the local roads, and then 15% we set aside for state highway projects, which would be Ford Road and Michigan Avenue. 30% of Canton Township are private roads. Those are those site condominiums, and that's most development. Most development that has occurred in the last couple of decades are going to be private roads, and a lot of those HOAs spend a substantial amount of their money on other things other than long-term road improvements, and that's something that if you buy in a private subdivision, a site condominium, and that does not mean you're in a condominium. It could be a single-family residential building that is planned like a site condominium, that you are going to be legally responsible. And not only that, but it is illegal for us to spend tax dollars on your sidewalks and on your roads. With regard to the questions about Sunflower, we did receive over $5 million in total from the legislature, and that was for ASR roads, or roads that were rife with alkali silica reaction, which in the 90s and the early 2000s, they messed with the mixture in concrete. And concrete is essentially a combination of sand, sandstone, ground up sandstone, and ground up limestone. They add a little bit of ash and a whole bunch of other stuff. They put accelerants in it now so it cools faster. But they start playing with those things. And unfortunately, you don't always know the consequences until 10 or 11 or 15 years later. And what we found is, by we, it wasn't me because I wasn't even able to vote back then, but that the roads themselves, when water entered them, it would create a gas. And the roads themselves would explode internally. They call it concrete cancer. So if you have cracks in regular concrete roads, okay, that's not good. Water gets in, it freezes, it thaws, the cracks get bigger, the roads get worse. If water gets into a crack in an ASR road, the road begins to explode internally, and it degrades at a rate that is substantially faster than any other concrete. Unfortunately, when the federal government created standards that allowed for ASR to become very common, was the exact same time Canton Township experienced a big housing boom. A lot of neighborhoods were built at the exact same time. We had one road, Canton Center Road, that was rife with a whole mile of ASR. We pulled the whole dang thing out and replaced it, because you can't just saw cut ASR because you're creating a crack that water gets in and you're exacerbating your problem. So you've got to pull the whole darn thing out, which is part of the reason why, in this instance, Sunflower was so expensive, a little over $2 million. But we didn't just do Sunflower. We did them last year. We did other subdivisions last year, and we are doing additional subdivisions this year. They do contribute, but this was money that we brought into Canton Township specifically for the purposes of combating ASR, because a road improvement project or a road repair project with ASR is going to be substantially more expensive than a road project with any other type of concrete. And we all know asphalt is much cheaper than concrete as well. So my hope is that I will see more asphalt roads in Canton Township, or at least composite roads where you put a little bit of asphalt on top of concrete so you can just mill and resurface. It's cheaper to maintain those in the long run. But unfortunately, for like 40 or 50 years, engineers really liked concrete in Southeast Michigan, which is also why we don't have enough Act 51, which is our gas tax money, to fix all of the infrastructure in Southeast Michigan. It's all concrete. You get up north, it's asphalt, and that asphalt looks pretty darn good because it's about 25% of the cost to repair that than it is down here. Roads are very complicated, but all the money did not go to Sunflower. They are not going twice. They went last year. Other subdivisions went last year. Other subdivisions are going this year, and we are continuing our normal neighborhood subdivisions projects. And we are still doing, we just approved $3.5 million in just concrete alone for the, for major roads. And then we're doing asphalt over at Beck and Getty's, and that area is really bad too, and needs it really bad. So anyway, that's roads.
And it is, Sunflower does put in every year for a project. They just do, because they have a lot of roads that they want repaired. Tanya?
I have a lot to talk about. First, I wanted to thank everybody who helped during the situation with Joe, and really thankful to all that. We have great employees in our government here locally, and they did a great job of helping one of their coworkers. And I also wanted to thank Wendy, who sat through 4 hours of our board session, board retreat, and walked us through all the budget spending, and she keeps us on our toes, and she made sure we recognized the priorities that we had. Happy Earth Day. We thankfully got our shelters back that were, torn down because of the tornado, because of all that's going on with the environment. And I'm so glad that the Village Arts Factory did their sapling planting. We lost like 20 trees in our common areas in our subdivision, so we picked up a few saplings to replace them. Also, I wanted to thank our public safety department for creating those sensory bags, because I think April is also Autism Awareness Month, and they are carrying these bags, and they're working to they're doing the work to train the public safety department, our firefighters and our police officers to work in these situations where they have to deal with someone who has autism. And I really think our public safety department is always forward thinking and doing the work to help our community. And finally, I was invited to a trip with a lot of elected officials from all across the country to understand housing and homelessness in LA this last weekend. And I learned a lot from the USC Homelessness Institute, and about public housing, about affordable housing, about zoning and land use. Quite a bit of conversation on zoning and land use, and I want to bring it back to our planning. I had a good conversation with Erin on what we are doing with our master plan about housing in the future. So I want to bring my feedback back to her so that we can use that in how we plan our community in the future.
Thank you. We have a partnership with a group called Kids Talk, and they're going to be moving into our Sheldon Road School, and it's for forensics for abused children. But I just want to kind of talk, because I've been asked by a couple people. We have a lot of blue pinwheels in front of the police department. And so it's basically, it's a collaboration of our public safety and Kids Talk. And the significance originates from Bonnie Finney, a grandmother in Virginia, who lost her grandson to abuse and neglect. In 1989, Finney tied a blue ribbon to the antenna of her minivan to honor her grandson, who tragically lost his life due to the abuse he suffered. So Bonnie tried to intervene during his short life, knowing his siblings lived in an abusive environment. So since then, that's why you see the blue pinwheel. So that's part of our partnership. So when people are asking why that's there, that is why. We're very happy about that partnership to help. Some of the questions that I heard, I just want to answer them. As our friend from Rotundo said, Cherry Hill Road, we started it last year, David, and we are going to continue. Another thing, so Palmer and Sheldon, so we're going to be redoing that bridge over 275 at Palmer and Sheldon. And basically, MDOT, the state, is working on that with us. But they had started to fix the road at I'm sorry, Palmer and Haggerty. They had started to fix that road at Palmer and Haggerty, but they kind of didn't continue because they're going to be replacing that bridge. So they will be fixing that. That is on their list. Now at Palmer and Sheldon, we are getting a roundabout put there. And as you can see, DTE has started moving the poles backwards. So you see a lot of construction at Palmer and Sheldon because of that. Another question I heard, the Army Corps of Engineers, we've said this in a couple of meetings already. So the Army Corps of Engineers are going to be finishing their work in October. We've already done a lot of the survey work, and we've given that input, and they're going to be giving us the model in October. So that will be coming to us then. They'll be doing a presentation. EV chargers, so there's going to be one placed at Pheasant Creek Golf Course. That is on order right now. Also, 2 chargers are going to be placed in front of the administrative building very soon. Also, IKEA is going to be putting in 4 level 3 chargers. Another thing I wanted to say is, of course, our employees are training in CPR, but the community can train in CPR also, and that's really important. I mean, you could see our employees help save one of our own, and a year before we had saved a young man in the summit for the same reason, using an AED and CPR. And so, keeping up with your training is very important. And I know. So, Jamie, how can community members get trained with CPR?
If anyone's looking for any. We're offering the classes to township employees at least every 2 months, but at least quarterly, we have classes offered to the general public. All you have to do is just call fire admin and say you would like to take a CPR class, and you can receive that information. Or as well as if you go on the Facebook page and follow us on the Facebook page, you can also see more information about CPR classes. Yeah.
So how often should people get trained after they?
I personally would say that you should do it every 2 years. That's just what the American Heart Association also says that you should do. And speaking back to what Director Ball was saying earlier about Joe, we know as the fire department and how we're trained that the cardiac care bundle basically says that early CPR, early defibrillation, and then early EMS care is what really produces great outcomes for a lot of patients. And I think that just what happened with Joe, I mean, everything just worked just right. But when it does, it can be miraculous what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
But that initial part, though, is that everyone needs to know CPR.
Right.
And how you do that, you got to get with the local fire department or just reach out to the AHA, and you'll be able to find classes pretty easily.
Very good. And actually, that helped save the 17-year-old. That was the same thing. That was.
I shouldn't just say it's just us either. It's. As Director Ball mentioned, it's PD gets on scene first, is able to start CPR, or if it's a bystander that does CPR, we already know that those numbers already improve outcomes. And the same thing happened at the summit that day. The team at the summit was able to get an AED, start CPR early, and it just made all the difference in that person's life. So I can't stress it enough. Get your CPR certifications.
And it's important too because they change it. They change it every couple of years, the procedure.
They do. I think they do that to keep people interested, because we do hear that sometimes where someone will take a class and then they'll say, oh, this isn't any different. I had CPR and 10 years ago. How much could they have changed it? But they do. They make little tweaks and little changes. Matter of fact, nowadays you don't even do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation at all. It's all just compressions. Press hard, press fast. If we got some more time, I'll take everyone through the class right now.
Yes, we do. And of course, the AEDs too, they're getting easier to use also. And that's why it's important to keep getting trained.
That's right. And one more thing on AEDs is they're becoming more and more available. You see them everywhere. They're in grocery stores. Obviously, they're in schools. But if you look around for that kind of stuff, you'll start to see it, start to remember it, and you'd be surprised at the locations where they are. Movie theaters, every public place has them nowadays. It's great.
Very good.
That park pavilion we just did a ribbon cutting for had an AED on the side of it.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, right next to the playground.
Yes, very good.
You'd be surprised.
Perfect.
All right, anyone else have anything else? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens and Trustee Ganguly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We're closed. Adjourned. Thank you.